Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our live trading room here at Admiral Markets. So glad that you could join us on Wednesday, the 14th of August. As you know, we're going to take a look at all types of trading today. Yesterday, we were especially focused on the swing trading, and tomorrow we'll be looking at the intraday trading. So, of course, as you know, we're going to take a look at this PowerPoint to explain, for example, the risk disclaimer, which I'm going to do right now. Trading global financial markets is considered high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. And this webinar is for educational purposes only. So thank you for your attention on that. All right, welcome once again to Admiral Markets. We have an educational webinar, by the way, tomorrow at 5 p.m. as well. We'll be trading my own money. Or you'll see me trading my own money, and we'll be especially looking at breakout strategies. Make sure to follow Admiral Markets in the social media, like Facebook and Twitter, for example. And with that said, we're going to take a look at the calendar today. We have a pound news announcement at, let's see, 1 hour 42 minutes from now. It's the claimant count change, but also the MPC meeting minutes. So the pound will be tricky today. Not easy, with pretty big news coming around the corner. So probably be very leery and careful of the pound, especially when you get closer within 30 minutes. But I think the pound could be very quiet because of these news announcements later on today. I don't think that we'll see much movement on the pound. We did have a euro news announcement on the German GDP. In fact, a bit positive. We saw the euro spike up a few pips there. So otherwise, we have later on today some USD news announcements. Okay, but that's in the New York session. Alrighty, let's take a look at our charts here. Sorry about that. I was actually preparing tomorrow's webinar. It's about chart patterns, so I was looking for chart patterns, in fact. So you saw me halfway in action there. Let's see. Well, we had some trades yesterday, right? That we were discussing. Some of them, or I think almost all of them, are doing very well. I'm in the dollar CAD. I think that's doing pretty well still. It's up 50 pips already. Takes time, doesn't it? But eventually, slowly but surely, the currency moves your way or our way. So we'll take a look at all those trades. I think, as far as I know, all these trades were doing very well. So probably you got a lot of pips on those, I hope. So if you did, let me know how many pips you got. That would be good to know. I'll be happy to read that. Darshan has a question on the odd. We'll take a look at that, okay? So first, let's take a look at the euro. I'm going to go to my overview on the euro. All right, here's the multi-time frame view in one shot. That's always handy, isn't it, to see everything in one go in a way. And well, basically the euro dollar in the 4-hour chart already breaking the support level. Of course, yesterday we broke that uptrend channel. So we talked about that. And if it does break that uptrend channel, then we have a nice fall. That happened. So that was a good trade to the downside there. It made a small bull flag. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm talking about here. We were talking about this break of that channel, or even if you draw a bigger channel here like this, for example. Both of them broke, of course. That was yesterday. And you can see we paused here a bit. Around that green line for a while. Made a small bear flag, in fact. We'll talk about flags tomorrow, and wedges and triangles. All right. You can see right in here. A pause after a pretty decent downside, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth fall, right? So that was a nice down movement as expected yesterday. that we could break that channel because of the short-term pressure there, and the euro fell some 60, 70 pips, what we can expect on a normal day, right? So that was good. In the meantime, we've completed 5 waves, so we could maybe expect an ABC back. But if you look at the fact that we broke this 4-hour support, we broke the 4-hour 132.80 level, which was the last major support in my opinion, this trend channel we broke, it is definitely becoming, confirming its bearishness. I had the bias already at the beginning of this week, just looking at the way Friday fell and also the weekly candle. And that bearishness is being proved by the break of this trend channel and the fact that we couldn't break that big resistance at 134.16. So we're slowly decreasing with this AO to the downside. We're in negative territory here, making lower lows, lower highs. The moving averages have turned to the downside, especially on the 1-hour chart. You can see a lot of bearish momentum here. So that's good. We can connect the tops. You can clearly see that we're in downside here. Okay. Actually, in fact, the price has moved back to these moving averages, which are now acting as resistance. And if we move into the 50-minute chart, that doesn't help that much. It's actually the 1-hour chart that you can see that very well. Let me zoom in, and you can see that the move back is bumping into resistance. Okay. If we put a fib on the entire down move, the 236 and 382 and 50 are all resistance points. 382 is also equal to this entire zone. 50 is equal to, the 50 fib is equal to this top here. So to me, this is definitely moving into resistance. Going long would only make sense if we really break out of that trend channel, break above the 50 fib, slowly move back down, and then break up again. Then the currency is proving that this downside was just a correction and we're actually moving up again. Then there's plenty of space also to the 134, and we're making higher highs and higher lows. Until then, it doesn't really make sense in my opinion. Okay. Now, if we that's just the technical analysis. We can look at other stuff as well. Let's take a look at this view of the trend here. Even on the 50-minute world, we can see we're going back to resistance, right? 1-hour chart is red. The candles are red. 4-hour chart, candles are red, indicating bearish momentum. So there is that bearish momentum there. Okay, now it's not to say that all support is gone, I would say. All right, it's not so. I think that it is possible for the currency maybe to this 131.90, 132 level, for example. We still have a top in here. We still have these bottoms, right? And this top. I wouldn't say that that's unimportant, nor is this bottom unimportant. I wouldn't say that support has vanished entirely. We could, for example, bounce off these levels and start to make a range like this, for example. Doesn't have to necessarily mean that we turn into a big downtrend, right? So that's always something we should be aware of. Let me just get the question box here a bit more visible for me. All right. Good. Let's move on. So we have those levels that we must be aware of, the 132.30 and the 131.90, 132, okay? Let's take a look at the fib confluence here at the 1-hour euro-dollar chart, okay? You can see that a lot of fib confluence up in here, equal to this sideways movement we had yesterday, right? Here too, basically here, up in here again, confirming on the 50-minute, right? We had that drop yesterday that we were anticipating. I hope you got that trade. I didn't trade the euro. I traded the pound odd in the New York session upside. It was a nice 75 pip trade there for myself. But if you did, that was a good fall on the euro. But we see that the confluence there of the fibs very nicely around 133. So that is a resistance. And we can see that we're pushing through support fibs here. All right. So that also points to more bearishness, I would say, or at least resistance above us. Let's see, what else can we take a look at? Let's take a look at the pivot points, okay? Good morning, by the way, Raj and Bogdan. Glad you're here. So let's see. Let's take a look at this 1 hour chart. We have S1 around 132.25, S2 around 131.86. And you can see an HV short at 132.84 and an L4 short breakout at 132.15. And the target of that is 131.77. Okay. That's the L5 target. Well, it kind of confirms, I think, the fact that really 132.30, 132.25 apparently here, the S1, but below this bottom is really where we want to short it, preferably, and probably targeting the S2 level around that 131.90, which is also that major bottom, the tops and bottoms we have on the 4 hour chart, right, as we already identified in the previous chart. So that's probably the sweetest space here. It's not much, but it's about 30 pips here. That seems to be the, from an intraday perspective, the most secure area. It's a small area, but so if we break that bottom, we have to see where our stop loss is. We have to move into a lower time frame, of course. This is the 50-minute world. We're already breaking to the downside here. 5-minute world already approaching the bottom. It's difficult to draw a trend line, in fact, connecting these bottoms. It's not that neat. Maybe we're breaking through the trend line. There could be maybe even a fall right now, right in here. And then it's like a two-piece trade, a fall to the bottom, and then a break of the bottom for the next one. Let me zoom into a different chart now. Take a look at this one. You can see that our oscillators here are negative on the daily and 4 hour. They're negative on the short time frames, but they're kind of an iffy mix on the intermediate time frames. So kind of getting a retracement here on the intermediate ones. Okay, that's the upper right corner here. Here we can see that maybe on the 5-minute world we're kind of reaching a bit of an oversold here on our tools indicators. Maybe a bit of a pop, and then next break could happen. Take a look at the 50-minute world. Yeah, it's still early. The session just started, so I would keep an eye on it. You can already see a bit of a bounce here. It's not going to fall in one shot, that's for sure. We'll have ups and downs. If we look also here, for example, we can see clearly a bottom around 132.50. So that could be still a support level. It would be good to see 132.55, 132.50 probably broken before we get more momentum to the downside. Let's take a look at the ADX as well. All right, nothing really spectacular there. If we look at price action, we have that low, last hour's low, around 132.55 as another reason, and the fractal at 132.51. So yeah, I think that would make sense. Once we break that, we'll probably be can look at the 5-minute chart and try to see if we get a hook back. That would probably be the best. I wouldn't want to go long, as I said here, because it's very bearish. We could maybe bounce up here to back to more resistance, back to 133, but I wouldn't want to speculate on that personally. I would rather try to catch the bearishness at the top, or if we indeed confirm that we're breaking to the downside. Okay, so those are key levels for me: 133, 132.50, 132, I guess. Kaylan is asking why I've identified that the trend of the euro dollar is towards short. The reason for me is because of the fact that we broke out of this green uptrend channel yesterday, all right, and we broke below the 4-hour support right in here. So to me, this is already lower lows, lower highs in the 4-hour chart with the uptrend channel broken. That looks bearish. If we look at the day chart, we can see that we were basically, or are, in a range, right? We have bottoms here, tops here. And in fact, we're breaking that uptrend channel right at the close to a range, the top of the range, which means that we could maybe fall all the way back to the bottom of the range. Now, there is still some support in the market that could be key. 132 is one of them, but also maybe, for example, around 132 here. Those are those tops right in here. Bottoms, tops, bottom here. That's the daily bottom. So if we approach that level, we definitely have to be careful because that could still provide support. If that level cracks, then I think we could see probably a bit more downside. All right. Let's see. 144 daily. Let's take a look at that. Yes, it is above 144 daily, but you know the safest is indeed below here. That is true. But if you look at the price action, it's a lot of range as well. You can see that basically that 144 is cutting the range in half. It's basically right smack in the middle of that range. So if we look at chart patterns, I would say it's more of a range, and the 144 is just halfway that range. I wouldn't tie into that much. If we were really trending, it would be more important to me. And there's a lot of space to that level anyhow. It's not like we're right at it. If we were right maybe in front of it, it could be support, but you see the trend is always tricky. You have to find a balance that you're satisfied with, right? Something that you find working for you. For me, this is already has downtrend material on the 4-hour chart, right? That's what I use as an indication. We're below these moving averages. You see the green band here? I know it's difficult to see probably with all these lines. Let me take a few off. But the price is below that. That's my key interpretation. See price below those moving averages, and moving averages turning to the downside. So that's my key method. And now not only is price below it, but we broke the nearest support to that. You see price was below it here, but I was still cautious here because I consider it still a bouncing area, because sometimes we break below the wave, just this wave here just a bit, this band, but we still push up as we had here. So that's why I was still cautious. And I looked yesterday into the 1-hour chart to see, for example, how price is reacting here, but it looked more like a bear flag. So that's why we're looking for a break of that bear flag and also the trend channel right away. But if we don't break the, that channel, then we had the potential of doing this still. So now we're in a downtrend in my opinion, although I still want to be careful of support on the day chart, right? I want to be still aware of that and still know those levels, because that's where I might want to take profit, or at least not go short, because that wouldn't be realistic and wouldn't be profitable trading. Yeah, it is difficult to decide to determine the trend. It's very important, and it's good to work on that, because that's really step one. You want to know if there's a trend or a range, and depending on what kind of strategy you use, use that particular strategy for that particular environment. Indeed, and it is tricky. I use these bands and a break of the next fractal under the band or above it, below for an uptrend. So those are 34 EMAs, by the way. Very useful, I think. This band. It's if you look at these charts, I'll show you the Euro Auto. Remind me to show the Euro Auto. Okay, I don't want to get too sidetracked here. And you'll see how good this band works for trend definition. Okay. So let's see, anything else? 1 hour chart, we're already seeing darker red momentum coming in the market here. But I still want that level to crack, right? Here too, coming red. Maybe if you draw something like this, you can see a bear flag on the 15-minute world, right? Raj, they're 34, and it's close, open, and high. Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. Very useful. So at least how I use it, of course you have to gain that feeling for yourself. But let's see, anything else on this euro dollar? I think that's about it, really. Those are the key levels. I don't know. I don't have anything to add, really. If you want to add something, by all means, go ahead. I would love to see your feedback. But I think that this is what I'm waiting for here on the euro dollar. Basically, either a move back to 133, a break of 132.50 is a bit early, but we could start looking for shorts, I think. And once we break the bigger bottom, then maybe another short down to 132. Raj is, by the way, saying, that's great info there, that the Ichimoku Kumo cloud is also confirming the downtrend. So one more reason for that. That's great feedback there. Also very interesting, the Kumo cloud, definitely. I spent some time researching that as well. Eventually chose more to work kind of moving averages have the advantage, I think, that it's a bit, the chart seems a bit more clear to me. I mean, less messy in a way, although I really find it quite interesting as well, the Kumo cloud. The take profit, well, it depends. If we break this 132.50, we could monitor 5 minutes and see maybe if we get an interesting hook back. Then I would target the probably the 132 level, I would say. But we can move our stop to break even once we approach this bottom at 132.35. The spaces are very tight, as always with intraday trading. Swing trading, you can survive multiple sessions. You can actually keep in the trade for multiple days. So that means that there's more space, in my opinion, at least. So let's see, euro dollar is getting some bounce right here. Let's see how long that lasts. Could be short-lived, but let's see, it could still bounce up, right? It could bounce back to this trend line, back to 132.80 area, potentially. But it's not something that I want to speculate on, personally. Alrighty, let's move on. Let's move on and take a look at something else. I'll just take a look at the pound here quickly with you. At this, let's see, this is the pivot point indicator, right, we have on our chart here. Basically, pound for me, really only interesting if we get above this H4 at minimum, which is around 155. Maybe here, a small up trade, but preferably, in fact, above the R3, above this top, above 155.75, up to the 886 Fibonacci retracement fib, which is at 156.50. Way up there, I think there are good longs for 75 pips. Then be very careful of the 886. That's a major resistance level. Not too keen on that long because I do think that the downside pressure here on the pound is pretty imminent. But if we were to go up around that level, we are breaking this downtrend line. So, that could be a breakout right in there. And otherwise above here. Downside primarily, I would say, maybe if we retrace and respect this trend line, for example, somewhere in here, or if we were to break the S1 down to the S2. Right in here. We need to break the 154.10 for some pips to the S2 there. Back to these tops as well here, some support maybe. We had a pretty big spike up on the pound, but we found resistance. Remember yesterday I said, watch out for the pound. I'm not looking for longs until we at least break this level, because anything below that could be very iffy. We could find and meet resistance pretty soon, and that's what happened, in fact. Pound not looking that great. I mean, not that clear. It's a bit messy in a way, I think personally, but alrighty. Let's take a look at the other charts. Let's take a look at the dollar index suggested by Anais. Makes sense. Let's do that. Let me see how my dollar CAD is doing. The trade of yesterday, slowly but surely moving up. That's good. Up about 50 pips there. Let me just grab the template here. All right, this is the daily and the weekly here. Very choppy, very rangy, isn't it? You can see we're kind of like in this very slow uptrend channel. A lot of spikes up and down. maybe if we add this line, we're at a support potentially. Tricky. A lot of ups and downs here. It's not easy to read. We've of course had this upside bias for back in the day here. Made a pretty aggressive move down and then up, but ever since that it's really spiked up, down, up, down. Very tricky. This last part really, or even from here, it's just a sideways box, isn't it? Very tricky. In added wave terms, I would say this is almost looking like a zigzag. Or flat, in fact, I should say, sorry. Sorry, what is it? POS, Kaden? Positions? I'll use the CAD. Okay, we'll take a look at that, okay? Let's see. Yeah, dollar nicely bouncing the upside here. Good daily bars, as expected. Because we were approaching this bottom as well, right? We don't break bottoms like that fast, normally speaking. So that was a good support level. How far can we go? Good question. Difficult to say with this, really. We know that this is a resistance level. We could even put maybe a fib on the downside. I'm not sure how important the fib will be because it's more of a rangy environment, if anything, or flat. You know, if you look at that, if this would be the end of the correction, in fact, then we could see a lot of upside. So very difficult to say here. One thing is for sure, we're pretty close to support. We've bounced off that support. And if you look at the previous move, we could have a lot of upside potential. So there could be a lot of dollar strength here. But we want to be, we want to be aware of potential resistance, of course, and resistance could be around these bottoms, for example, and this top. So that's something we want to be aware of. There is still some space there to those resistance levels. We might break through those, but we still want to be aware of that. So for the moment, I would say that's about it, because otherwise, besides the fact that we're at the bottom close to the support with a lot of space to the upside and some clear resistance, there's really nothing else to say on the 4-hour chart. We are moving up, but still almost more of a downtrend here. 1-hour chart already in an uptrend because we have higher highs, higher lows, and we're making a bull flag here. So on the lower time frames, we're seeing that turnaround. So if the euro dollar were to go down, we could maybe see, for example, first down and then up, bringing the euro back to 133 and then going down to 132, right? Because it's the opposite. Something like that could happen. On this 4-hour chart, we don't have a high or low, so there is the potential to move down and then up like this. And maybe we'll get some kind of a head and shoulders pattern as well. Inverse head and shoulders, right? We do have higher highs now, right? We have 3 higher highs in a row, but we don't have a higher low yet on this dollar index, so we could still continue up, but eventually we'll bump into resistance and make that higher low, and then maybe find support again. Indeed, Anis. So a bit tricky, very tricky, the dollar index. Yeah, but if you look at this monthly, if anything, we're very close to support, I would say. Okay, so let's move on. Gold, by the way, if we're looking at the dollar index anyhow, gold couldn't break yesterday the 1347, 1350 level and had a bearish day. So just maybe we are respecting that 1347. That'll be very interesting. If we do, we're actually making lower highs already on the 4-hour chart. So that could be very interesting. If we do, there could be a pretty good fall maybe happening, just my opinion. 1270 is still important, of course, because that's the daily bottom. But on the 4-hour chart, we are seeing the respect for that major resistance, and maybe we can see the fall here. But 1270 is still the major level to break before we can maybe think about, lower 1100s. Because that's the type of fall that we could make if we break 1270, in my opinion. Okay, so that's goal. Let's take a look at the CAD. Yesterday I took the CAD at least, dollar CAD, and moved up pretty nicely. Of course, it always takes some time, these swing trades, right, to develop. You get a break, 2 hours up, 3 hours down, a few hours up, a few sideways, a few hours up. That's something you always have. So, yeah, that's something, of course, you'll have to have that patience, basically, if you want to swing trade like that. But that's just a matter of experience. It might be a bit scary at the beginning, but that's just a matter of getting used to it. Anais is saying that the dollar CAD is not a ferocious animal anyhow. Anyway, true. It is kind of, I always find it a bit wacky, but yeah, it's not the wildest ride out there indeed, that's for sure. Definitely true. And we talked about this dollar CAD intensively. If you want to know the analysis why we took it, please let me know. Otherwise, I assume that you were here yesterday and know what the reasons were. Okay, so I don't repeat everything for those people who've been here. Basically, the target is the minus 618, right? And Kayla is asking if we can scale in upon this 4-hour break. Not sure. For me, the entry was here, lower in here, but so I didn't think about scaling in personally. I don't see any support level as yet that I would feel comfortable with putting my stop loss except here still. So yeah, the stop loss now is about 100 pips, and we'd be adding kind of a similar, relatively similar spot almost. I mean, we are up 50 pips, but compared to the take profit, it's still a bit small. I don't know. I didn't think about it, to be honest, but I guess in theory there's nothing wrong with it as long as your stop loss is below the 786, I would say, because otherwise I don't really see a level that would make sense on this 4-hour chart. And of course, your total risk management parameters, the total risk that you take on the trade is still within your risk management parameters. My stop loss is at 102.71.6. So let's say 102.71. On the 1-hour chart, we could make, I mean, we are making this, maybe this upside, but we could fall back to the bottom of this trend channel, for example. The thing is, we don't have really a high or low yet on the dollar CAD regarding fractals, so I'm still waiting for that in a way. Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe we just keep moving, but that's fine. Yeah. So it's definitely possible, but it wouldn't be something I would think of as yet. But that's, everyone has their own preferences, right? Nothing is black and white or good or bad necessarily. As long as you just stick to your own, your trading plan, that's basically what counts, right? That's our goal. So if you have that in your trading plan, I could see the merit of it. But I wouldn't do it personally. For me, I wouldn't do it. So let's see. Otherwise, it is proving in a way what we wanted to see, right? Good daily candle, moving up. It's going to take some time. That could take, because the daily candle yesterday was how many pips? 50. It's quite a far target. That could take maybe the entire week to get there. Okay, so that's going well. I would trail stop it using the 4-hour fractals personally. So if we get a fractal anywhere in here, I will move my stop loss then to that position. It could be a few pips negative, it could be a few pips positive. It really depends where the fractal is and its relationship to my entry. So I have to say that, but that's how I'll trail stop it. The 4-hour fractals. Okay, not even the 1 hour, because the 1 hour has many fractals already. Really want a 4-hour fractal there because it's a 4-hour trade, so I don't want to zoom in there and use a lower time frame for that trade. That would be not so productive, I think. If anything, you want to use a higher time frame, not a lower time frame for trail stops, most likely, unless you really get to an area that's extensive and you have a lot of profit and you want to keep that profit. Then you might want to trail stop it on a lower time frame because you want to be more closer to the trade and more on top of that trade. Then it makes sense. For example, if you already have a 4-to-1 in pocket, but you still want to go for a 5-to-1, you don't want to maybe give up too many pips if you use a very, fractal that's far away. That would be, of course, the exception, but not at the beginning of the trade. So anyhow, that's a lecture about stop losses. Trail stops there. Nothing else to say, right? We discussed it intensively yesterday. It looks like a good hook back to the bottom of the trend channel to the upside, and we are seeing a bounce. So that's confirming the thought. Now the question is, now the next step is just to have patience and wait for the take profit. Otherwise, that's where we have to make the money to compensate those losses, because the profit, if we hit the profit, it's going to be a 3.5-to-1 reward to risk, and those are good. Those add nicely to the equity in a month, or wipe away a lot of a few losses there in one shot, right? So that's good. Alrighty, that's the dollar CAD. Let's take a look at, oh, sorry about that. Let's take a look at the Aussie. The Aussie, yesterday we were saying, was in this trend channel, remember, on the 1-hour chart? And we're saying it's at the top of the trend channel. In fact, if we break this kind of bear flag here, it's a good down trade. Not sure if anyone caught it, but it was good pips there. And we fell some 60 pips. All right, so that was a good trade. So once again, if you caught some of those trades, I would love to hear it. How many pips you caught? We had a lot of opportunities there, so that's great. So that was a good fall. In general, of course, we're at a very big resistance still at the 786 here, but the currency is moving slowly, and we're kind of breaking out of that trend channel. So that's a first warning, maybe, that we're moving to the upside. We're actually making a higher high as we speak on the Aussie. So this could be actually more of a bull flag instead of a downtrend channel, and maybe we're breaking to the upside. Is that something I'm interested in? Not that much, because I think the space is limited. We have a trend line here, 786. Maybe we can move up to the trend line. If we break it, maybe we can move up to the 886, which is right around the corner. Because of the higher time frames, I'm a bit leery about the upside. I'm sure it could make that upside, but I'm just not really that interested in it. That's because of the higher time frame analysis, where I see that we're actually quite at a resistance level. But if you're more interested in catching a trade right now, that could be maybe the one we have today. I don't know. There's only one or two opportunities every session, right? Not more. For at least people who are looking for a decent trade of, let's say, 30 pips or more. If you're scalping, of course, there are probably more opportunities. So we are hunting always for the best opportunity. I don't know if this Aussie is the best. To me, I'd rather continue looking for something else, but it could make that up move. We are breaking the 1 hour resistance here. But the target would be around definitely before 92 because that's where we have the higher resistance, okay? So let's take a look at something else. That was a good fall though yesterday at least. Let's see how the pound odd is doing. Pound odd also had a good trade in here, right? This is the trade I took here. Right in here, nice spike up to target, nice bull flag here, and continuation. Something similar might be happening right now as well, or more of a triangle maybe. And it looks like we're breaking that triangle to the downside, in fact. Yeah, it looks like we're breaking that support line. Looks like we're breaking actually the uptrend channel we have here on the pound odd. All right, just like those green lines there, I'll make them a bit different color. Okay, the lime is the uptrend channel. The green is the triangle. We're breaking both to the downside. That's also not really something that I'm very interested in, just because we're in this bigger day trend uptrend channel indicated by this darker green one. I'll make that a different color as well. Let's make that medium orchid. So you can see that there could be maybe a small fall here, just like the odd dollar, but the space is limited. As a swing trade, I would really like to get bigger value here. Now, you don't necessarily have to swing trade it because look at the spread. It's only 2 pips, so you can even intraday trade it with Admiral Markets as a broker because the spreads are so tight, right? In the past, with the other brokers, it was really only basically possible with the euro dollar, but it is possible with Admiral Markets, right, broker, because of the tight spreads. But still, as a swing trade, I don't like the space here. It's a bit small, and if you're planning on a break to the downside, I definitely wouldn't do it. It could happen, but I wouldn't plan on it because any move down, we're going back to support, back to this trend line. There's a likelihood, a good chance of a bounce there. Okay, so space is limited, I think. It's not bad, but there could be better. Let's see, like the dollar cat, for example. That has, in my opinion, could have tons of space to the upside. I like those more. Let's take a look at euro odd is probably doing the same. It cannot break the 146 resistance, so we'll have to see if that's going to break or not. How about the euro New Zealand? That too is moving down back to the green daily support, so all those are in the same position. Let's take a look at the euro yen. Patrick, what is SLV, by the way? Let's take a look at the euro yen. We were talking about it yesterday. In fact, we were saying that probably the 130 is going to be resistance. If not 130, then 130.50. 130 didn't. That was quite impulsive. It broke through that basically this target and a fib. What fib was it? 50 fib, I think. Yeah, 50 fib. So it broke through that, but it did stop at the 618 fib. So it went through to the next one. All right, then we did get that resistance at a higher fib than I thought. Then I said we'll probably make a bull flag, which indeed proved true, or triangle, one of those continuation patterns, indeed, and we got a break and upside as expected. Because with that, we got divergence basically on a 50-minute world between the tops. Okay, look at that. Look at this top here and this top. And we have the clear divergence. All right, so we also went to this target to take out the target here, right in here. This was minus 618 and this minus 272. So we could maybe move down from this resistance level, but I still want to be careful. If we really want to target trades, we can take close to break the support at least two, and then probably where 25. We all have bearish potential there, but the thing is that that bearish potential will take time to play out, may not play out at all. So we need to have patience there. We need to see this 1 hour and 4 hour upside momentum fade away, turn around, and break to the downside before really we have that confirmation. All right. Let's see. Darshan is first of all saying that maybe we can go up to 130.88. Let's see. I don't have any level there that is it the pivot point maybe, Darshan? I don't see, personally I don't have any fib level there, let me say it this way, but it definitely could go there. And I see also that I saved, Darshan is writing me that I saved some pips there because otherwise Darshan would have gone short on the EJ. However, I helped by actually saying that we could go up more. That's great. Glad that it helped. Perfect. Great. Doing very well. That's good. Absolutely perfect. So let me know why that level, okay? Why 130.88? And then we have one more question here. Naita. Okay. There could be a difference there between the Admiral Pro and the Admiral Standard. So you might want to look into that. Admiral Pro, you can open an account with Admiral Pro for, I think it's $1,000 you need account size. So maybe worth taking a look, okay? Yes, definitely. Let's see, I said 88 yesterday. Okay, then I forgot why. That's funny. Apparently I said 88. Not sure what the reason was anymore. I don't see any fib confluence there. I see it more around today's chart, around actually the level where we stopped at the moment, this 130.50, 130.60. Yes, Darshan, I think personally I'm bearish indeed. Looking at the technicals, it looks bearish. Now I'm not saying that bearishness will necessarily play out today. We could have a reversal day, but technically speaking, I define the trend as down. And the only thing I want to be careful of is what level of support could the downside stop or the downside start. It could stop at 132, it could start at 133. Those are the key levels, or continue at 132.50. But other than that, it doesn't have to turn out to be bearish today. It's just my stance basically. And I would only go for longs once we break 133 with an impulse, close above it, let's say make a hook back, a corrective move down, and then break to the upside again. Then I would change gears. That's just how I do it. Doesn't necessarily mean that everyone does that. Scalpers will be probably buying it and selling it along the entire session today, but I guess, but it's not my style. Let me say it this way. Not what I specialize in. All right, so let's see. 129.70, 130 key levels here on the EJ for that downside. And that looks good, the downside. I really like it because even, as I said, even if we just respect these bottoms, or even if we make here a higher low, you have to realize that the currency is always going to make higher lows and lower lows. So even if it's upside, we would need some higher low right in here to get that angle on the currency like this. So a fall here is good in either way. Either if we make huge downside, or even if we move up, just to make a higher low and then move up again. So there's certain areas that have this kind of overextended move where even if it's long-term up or down, the intermediate move tends to be a good chance of one movement. Alrighty. Alrighty, folks. Let me take a look at some others, right? New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar is, I think, maybe better setup. Aussie is, I'm a bit leery, but the New Zealand dollar definitely looking like a good break here to the upside. In fact, I took New Zealand CAD long myself, not the New Zealand dollar. Let me take a look how that's doing. But New Zealand dollar, bit better just because of the fact that there's less downtrend on the day chart. The day chart is in fact just a sideways range like this. Okay, so it's more of a range-bound environment, and although the break is quite close to the top of the range, it definitely could make the move to the top of the range. So I like it a bit more than the Aussie because the Aussie daily is definitely in the downside. The New Zealand daily is in a range, so that's why the 4-hour and 1-hour break to the upside on the New Zealand is a bit more better in my opinion than the Aussie. Just a subtle difference there, but that's my opinion. So that does look okay, but beware of the 81 level because that's a major resistance, right? 81. Still 100 pips away from here, though. That looks pretty good. Maybe we can put an entry in here with a stop loss here if it hooks back for one more go. That could be interesting. That's probably the most interesting for me at the moment, at least. Let me just quickly scan and see if there's anything else. Pound Swiss, as I said, we're breaking that downtrend channel here on the 4-hour chart. It looks like we can move back to the top of the range, right? We said yesterday. That's exactly what happened right in here, and boom, right to the top of the range. So that was a good trade. Also a lot of pips there to the upside. Something like a 150 pip move there. So that too panned out very well. Let me take a look at anything else is interesting. What's happening with the euros? Bounced up indeed to 132.70. Your CAD bouncing. Yeah, I think the New Zealand probably the most interesting today for me. Or the euro if it were to break 132.50 in our session. Alrighty. So with that said, I think I'll go back to New Zealand. Let me take a look at this trend indicator here. 4-hour chart hooking back to the 144 EMA. 1-hour chart breaking above the band. 50-minute world and uptrend. Alrighty, I'm going to put a pending order here personally. Let's see. I'll have to buy a new mouse because this one is acting really annoying because every time I want to do like a small move, it just kind of blocks. I don't know why. It's just very recent. So I'll go below this 50-minute support level. It's an intraday trade. It's not going to be a swing trade because I don't think the New Zealand, the Kiwi has enough space for that. I mean, 81 is not a bad level, but it's not like I want to take a 80 pip risk here to target 100. So for me, this is more of an intraday. I classify it as an intraday space, so I want to have a bit tighter stop loss and just go for 2-to-1 here within the day. So for me, let's take a look at the spread here. Approximately 1.5. So just in case, I'll go to 2 and subtract the pip from that as well. I'll go to 79.70 personally, and I'll try to enter at 79.80, 87. Let's see if it dips back those 8 pips. Maybe it doesn't, but it's always good to plan on a retrace. You can see this 50-minute chart doesn't have any retracement yet, 50-minute candle. And if it were to hook back to that level, approximately, we have tops here, tops here. It's about a 382 of this move up, you know. So I think we'll get support, probably a bit lower, but I do it a bit above what I think would be the bouncing spot. So that's only 70 pips. So if I target a 50 pip, it would be a 30-to-1. In fact, let's see if that plays out. 37. It's all the way above here. Let's take a look at the 1-hour chart. 4-hour chart. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a logical take profit. You know, just in case we maybe see something like that, we still close our profit before something like that as a head and shoulders could potentially materialize. So that looks good to me. You see, even next hour, if next hour were to retrace, it would probably hit my green line, my green entry, and then bounce. So I'm not going to be jumping in here personally because the top of the hour could end and we could see the retracement next hour. So that doesn't make sense in my opinion. I don't want to jump in here, right? So I rather plan for small retrace. If it does break and go, well, tough luck. Same happened with me with the Euro New Zealand actually. That was a break-even trade for me yesterday. I'll show you what happened. I had, let's see, I took the, let's see, I wanted to put an entry order here, I think. No, that's in the, yeah, was that yesterday? Yeah, it was. Wanted to put an entry order here, but it actually spiked higher before I could put the entry order. I was slow. So before I knew it, it was here. So I don't want to take that. So I planned on the retrace back to the same level, and that's where I got it. And after I saw this, bounce up, down, but because of the massive down here, we had a pretty big 1 hour wick. I'll show you. Look at this. Massive 1 hour wick. So I realized because of that wick, and if you look at the 50-minute world and you see down, up, down, up, down, up like this, like a wedge, I knew my trade wasn't going anywhere, and eventually I just clicked it out for +3 because I didn't have much, didn't think that the time of day would give support for a big move anymore. The New York session was more or less over, or the impulsive part of the New York session. So, but you see, if you get a good price, even if the trade doesn't go your way, you get the opportunity to exit for a good price, right? For some few pip loss or few pips profit even. Because if you enter here, you're basically stuck with that trade and you lost. You lost that trade because here's your stop loss, right? Now, if you enter at a better price, even if you enter here, you still have the opportunity to click it out. Very important to catch a good price at a certain level because it does give you more options if you want to get exit that trade, if you want to exit it because you don't like it anymore. So just a practical example there. Okay. Good. Let's go back to the euro. Let's take a look what's happening there. We do have pound news, right? Be aware of that. We're getting very close now. Only 36 minutes, so that's something maybe we want to avoid now. Maybe even the euro too. But after that is finished, we can maybe look at that. Again, let me go back to those charts where we have an overview. And in the meantime, I'll ask some questions I have from the audience. Okay, so bear with me when I go through a bit of Q&A. Lubisha, let's see. Lubisha says that when you can join, asking when he can join or again. Well, basically we have sessions on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7:45 UK time. I'm not sure what you mean with the time delay. Not sure what you mean there. Not sure what you mean actually with that question, but we have the next session is again tomorrow, and then on Tuesday, and we have also an educational webinar on tomorrow on Thursday at 5 p.m. UK time, and our trading session is tomorrow at 7:45 a.m. Okay. Let's see. Darshan is saying that the EJ had it at 72. Okay, that's good, Darshan. Great. And why did the pound spike up? Yeah, it did spike up a lot. It was really massive indeed. It moved 70, 80 pips indeed. And no news announcement indeed. Very, very funny. And then it got rejected. I was happy because it helped my pound odd spike to its target within a minute. So I was happy, but I was also quite confused and just proved to me that really any swing trades really luckily were not taken because, and that's why I said we need to break above, I think it was the 155.50 or something like that. Otherwise, anything before that, any up move could really find resistance quickly. So I think personally it is, could it be maybe some closing of the trades that up and down so quickly? exiting of positions. I don't know. It seems to be kind of funky moves. Very strange. But Darshan was actually brave enough to jump in short as we were bearish. Wow, that's great. That's fast reacting. Great job there. Now you want to make sure, indeed, for others that you don't do that at every spot, because sometimes these spikes, in fact, are actually not false spikes, but very sustainable momentum bars. So that's something you definitely want to know when to do when, because not all the time is a fast movement necessarily a false movement. Okay, just want to give some warning there to others who might think, "Wow, I'm going to do that every time." Oh, there's no time difference, I think, with South Africa. It's UK is probably 1 hour behind. It's very minimal. Okay. What levels did I take the Kiwi trades at? Let me take a look. Looks at 7987. Not sure if we'll get entered, if we get filled, because currency is keeping its head up. But if we don't break soon, we'll probably make that dip. I have a stop loss at 79.70. Well, if we were to break up, too much, if we don't get, if we see another move up, another hour up, the next hour up, then I have some doubts. If we get filled, then probably wouldn't take the trade. We'll probably just delete it, I guess. It depends on the next hour. This hour, I definitely let it close, see where the candle ends. We can always retrace from this candle to the next hour. That's always possible. But if the next hour is again a bullish candle and we have next hour low is above our entry, then probably the likelihood of getting filled is very small. The price going there is small, and I would delete it. So it's definitely an entry order that I'm not keeping on for forever, right? It has to be filled pretty quickly. This trade in itself is not a trade I'm jumping for joy with, because of the fact that the dollar, the New Zealand dollar is in a range on the daily chart, but it's okay. It's worth taking, in my opinion. Compared to the rest, Aussie, I said it's in the downtrend daily, iffy. Pound dollar really only looking even for downside. Pound odd, funny enough, although I'd expect New Zealand upside and pound downside. If you look at pound New Zealand, it too is still moving back to support, in my opinion. I wouldn't anticipate a break of that support, so I'm on the sidelines on most of the euro and pound versus Aussie New Zealand pairs. Although if you look at this euro odd chart, you could see reasons to think that maybe a short would be good, just because we're making lower lows, lower highs. We're in a downtrend channel. The only reason for me still is to be cautious is because of the fact that we're at a very massive day chart trend line, as you can see. That kind of encaptures the entire upside from the beginning of April. So I don't want to go short 50 pips before that trend line, while in fact the currency is maybe moving down as a hook back for more upside. That's just too risky. If you look at the magnitude of this line, if you look at the power of this line, what kind of history it summarizes and how long, that's not worth it, in my opinion. I don't think the New Zealand dollar is in a downtrend on the daily. I think it's in a range. That's the difference to the Aussie, and that's why it makes it okay-ish for me. And the reason why I think it's in a range is just because of the purple top and the purple bottom. Raj is saying there's an impulsive upside angle on the euro odd. That's definitely true. You're reading the trend line? Definitely a beautiful trend line. Not sure which time frame you were talking about there. But the 1 hour chart, we see still that impulse, and this is a correction still. It's kind of like a sideways box. So most of the time they do get continuation to the upside. But I'm waiting for that confirmation, because otherwise on the 4 hour chart we are getting back to resistance, right? This is resistance on the 4 hour chart. This is support on the day chart. So we're kind of caught in two worlds in a way. So we need to wait for one of the two to break, I think. Otherwise it's risky. I'm just talking about the day chart. Yeah, definitely. Beautiful angle there. Very, very impulsive on the day chart. So it's definitely something we want to be aware of and want to be careful of. So finger crossed for the New Zealand, or maybe I didn't get taken in. No, not yet. Okay, it hit the price, but bounced off a few pips there. Let's see. This business is always a risky business, and it depends. What do you find acceptable as a risk? This kind of meets the bare minimum requirements, in my opinion. This one could be a loss as well. We'll have to see. But it's worth it, I think. Especially, it's still at least a 2-to-1. I think no, it's a 3-to-1. So that's good. And NACE took a euro-dollar short at 132.77. Wow, it moved up a lot. Let's go back to our euro-dollar and see what's happening there. And then we'll wrap it up for today. Wow, nice pick there, Anis. It seems like you really caught the turning spot there. That's great. Really the turning spot to the pip. Wow, that's nice. Nice trading there. You can see a second move back to resistance. Good job. Let's take a look at the 5-minute world. 5-minute world not set in that downtrend yet, right? We have to break this bear flag basically to get that. A lot of wicks on both sides. Probably euro-dollar is also waiting for the pound-dollar news, which is going to be happening anyhow in 25 minutes, so there could be a bit of hesitation there before the market breaks. So in your case, Anis, if you caught the top, there's almost no sense risking. It could make even be a valid point to move it to break even, because otherwise we still have a news event. That news event could spike it both ways. I don't know if it's worth it, because we still have a potential to maybe retrace a bit higher. Just my 2 cents there. Okay, that's great. That's great, and he's moved to break even and hoping that the news will be in his favor. Well, that's indeed very smart. Let's see if that happens indeed. And Lubisha is saying that he's a beginner and has read the ebook. That's great. Watch about 6 webinars. Welcome to the world of Forex trading then. Of course, that's absolutely normal. Everyone feels uncertain at the beginning about the graphs. So that's absolutely normal. Everyone has that, right, folks? Louis is not the only one. So you're not alone in there. It's definitely the best to keep practicing. Open a demo account with Admiral Markets. Use a sum that reflects what you could potentially trade in the future. You don't want to go overboard. You don't want to trade a figure that has no meaning to you. And just practice. Open one just to practice and try all kind of things, and open one a bit more serious. And just practice. Look at charts a lot. Look at all the webinars we have. Look at these training sessions, and slowly but surely you'll learn a lot. We have a whole video archive, by the way, at Admiral Markets. So you'll learn a ton of that. I mean, you will really learn a lot with these webinars, really a ton. We're covering almost everything. So, alrighty, folks, I'm going to show you where you can find those webinars, in fact, just in case you want to sign up for those. Be careful, we have a fundy in 25 minutes, right? Otherwise, let me take a look at the dollar CAD. Dollar CAD is still up 34 pips. That's doing well. The target is still far away from here, right? Oh, and Lubisha, by the way, probably the reason why I say your name right is because it looks a bit Czech to me, and I've lived in Prague for very long, so maybe that's the reason. I'm not sure, but you know, the hook on the S, definitely, I see that in the Czech language a lot, of course. Was a reason why I'm going here. Oh yeah, to see the Kiwi. Kiwi looked like it bounced off our level, but didn't take us in. Let's see, maybe we get a second hook back. Would be kind of a pity. Let's see. All right, the website, by the way, where you can find all those recordings, okay, is if you go to admiralmarkets.com. And here you see, by the way, the spread, the average or the current spreads of all the currencies for the Pro account, okay? Take a look at education, go to webinars. And then click on video archive. If you stay here on live webinars, you will see all the upcoming webinars that you can register for. For example, tomorrow we have importance of chart patterns, me and Trantala or Nenet. You can sign up there. And you can also see, for example, our live intraday trading session tomorrow. You can sign up for that one as well. If you go to the video archive, you can, of course, see all those past webinars we had on the educational topics, ranging from scalping the market to developing strategies to trading trend lines, of course. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up myself, but my colleague is going to take over here, okay, from Admiral Markets. Thank you so much, Raj, by the way, for that compliment. I really, truly appreciate that. Yeah, there is a tad of commission indeed. Let me see. That is, here for the dollar CAD per mini 30 cents, I think. So very little. But of course, the tighter spread good for your trade management because, of course, you have a better entry and you have a better stop loss, of course. So the tight spread is, for me, most important. You know, euro dollar, half a pip most of the time. But not only the euro dollar, basically a wide range of those around 1 pip. Okay. So that's it, folks. I look forward to see you tomorrow. Glad you were here. And I'm going to hand it over now to Mihai.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Chris. Once again, a great presentation. I hope we all learned a lot of new things. I'm going to switch over to my screen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chris. And good afternoon, my fellow traders. It is great to speak to such a terrific audience today, once again. My name is Mihail, and I'm a client relationship manager for Admiral Markets. This is great to see you all participate in this webinar. The number of both live sessions and webinars has been on the rise lately, and it's nice to see that. Not only do we have participants here that are currently trading with Admiral Markets, we also have people who are yet to make their first trades and traders who are currently with other brokers. I extend my warmest welcome to all of you. I hope you enjoy the first part of the webinar and learn new things that are you ready to apply them in practice. That brings me to the point I wanted to speak about today. Why do we choose one broker over the other? What sets apart one broker from the rest? There are a number of factors you consider before you make a decision, of course. You consider the platform, the spread, deposit methods, amount of instruments the broker offers you, variety of account types, and so on and so forth. You choose the factors most important to you and make an informed decision. But of course, none of those factors matter if the key factor is missing. I'm pretty sure you all guessed it correctly. I'm talking about the key factor, which is trust. No matter how great the conditions are, it all means nothing, absolutely nothing, if you do not trust the broker. In fact, none of those factors even exist if you do not trust the broker who advertised them. Investment is walking a tightrope, and you must be sure that there is a reward waiting for you when you make it to the other side. If a broker with a dodgy reputation, say, advertised a 1 pip maximum spread, would you believe it? No. Most likely the spreads are higher, and even if they were that low, you probably would not be able to withdraw your profits. You see, the trust is the main factor, the most important criteria there is. Trust has, of course, been a critical issue for the past few years, especially in the financial sector. And if you would never buy a product from eBay if the seller had, say, less than 100% positive feedback, why would you settle for less when it comes to a broker? After all, you entrust your broker with substantial funds, and the level of trust should also be substantial. This is how much you should be able to trust your broker. To trust him with your life savings, your money, everything. This is the amount of trust you want to be looking for. So how do you choose a trustworthy broker? How do you go from around all those guys and choose a broker which is right for you? As most of you have probably noticed, there's not a single place on the internet that will present you with 100% accurate data. And more often than not, broker ratings really depend on the amount of money a said broker is willing to pay to the website. Believe me, people in the financial industry have all been there. So here are a few things I would advise you to look at when you make a decision on which broker you would like to trade with. First off, in the financial world, there is always someone watching you. In this case, I'm talking about the regulators. In order to receive your license, you must comply with strict regulation and strict rules. And more regulators you allow to watch you closely, more secure you are. As a broker, you're more secure, and as a client, you know the broker is really looking after your money well. Admiral Markets, for example, is licensed in the European Union by EFCA and has obtained a passport from MiFID that allows us to conduct business in all the European Union countries. Admiral Markets has recently received an FCA license in the United Kingdom and has been licensed by Australian Financial Service License for a very long time. Being licensed, of course, is very important, but Admiral Markets is not the only broker that is highly regulated. We are authorized on many continents, but so are some other brokers, some key other players that you're all aware of. This is why we decided to go a little further. We decided that in the Facebook era, rather than sharing a transaction, we want to establish a personal relationship with our clients. Our policy is to provide a personal account manager to each of our customers. If you have a real account with us, if you have a demo account, or if you just participate in Forex Ball at some point of your time, there is a person in our company that can help you out in your own language. Not a member of a support team, an actual person that is responsible for your account from the time you registered with the company. In essence, our size is like this. Our customer service will be more like this. We're a huge organization with focus on customer service. This is just like this is a kind of a customer service you would expect from your local butcher or a hairdresser, a person that knows you personally, a person that will ask you how your day was and will help you out in a nice, friendly manner. Personal and friendly. I don't want to brag, but I'm a great example of that actually. I work with customers in UK and Ireland, and if you're watching this webinar from one of those countries, chances are me and you have already spoken. At the start of the presentation, I have shared my email and phone with you. Here's also my Skype and LinkedIn. All of our customer relationship managers would be happy to do the same to their clients. We at Admiral Markets believe that in the modern era, trust is the main virtual currency. We conduct our business in an open and friendly manner. And before we get your business, we are ready to establish a relationship with you. So once you feel we have won your trust, register an account and find out for yourself that not only that our major peers have a spread as low as 1 pip. We offer MetaTrader 4 and 5 as our platforms. We accept bank wire payments, card payments, and Skrill. We give you a variety of accounts to choose from, standard, professional, and all sorts of managed accounts, and a special account for CFDs as well. This is all of major importance once we have won your trust. So register an account today and meet your personal manager in just a few hours. To him, you will always be a #1 most important client. So if you have any questions, please write me an email, Skype me, or call me. If you want to add me on LinkedIn, I will gladly accept your invitation as well. I hope you had a great time, and I wish you a pleasant week. So see you at the next live trading session or the next webinar, where me and you can continue our conversation about the most important issues in the financial market. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. I hope you all learn new things. Good luck in the next week, and lots of profits and trading. Bye-bye, guys. It's been great.
The organizer